Sophia Nash had been warned 3 times in the past month that her ex would come crawling back, and each time she laughed it off, until the fourth warning came from someone whose judgment she trusted more than her own. Her best friend Maya had grabbed her shoulders in the coffee shop that Tuesday morning, eyes fierce with conviction. "He's going to show up, Soph. I heard from Rachel, who heard from his roommate, that Derek's been asking about you. Where you work now, if you're seeing anyone, all of it." Sophia had stirred her latte slowly, watching the foam swirl. Let him come. I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. But she was lying. The thought of seeing Derek again made her stomach twist with old feelings she thought she had buried. The breakup had been brutal. He had chosen his career over her, taken a job across the country without even discussing it, then acted surprised when she refused to drop everything and follow. The worst part was how he had made her feel selfish for wanting to stay in Chicago, where her own career as an event coordinator was finally taking off. Now, sitting in her cramped office at Sterling Events 3 weeks later, Sophia tried to focus on the details of the charity gala she was organizing. It was the biggest event of her career, a fundraiser for children's literacy programs with an expected attendance of over 300 people. The client was demanding, but the pay was excellent, and if she pulled this off, her boss had hinted at a promotion. Her phone buzzed. Another text from her mother. "Derek called the house asking for you. I didn't give him your new number, but sweetie, he sounded sincere." Sophia groaned and dropped her phone face down on her desk. Even her mother was getting pulled into this drama. She had just started typing a response when her office door opened without a knock. "Sophia, we have a situation." Her boss Jennifer stood in the doorway, her usually composed face showing cracks of stress. "The venue for the gala just called. They double booked. We're out." The words hit Sophia like cold water. "What? That's impossible. We have a contract. They're claiming a computer error. They're offering a full refund and their apologies, but that doesn't help us. The event is in 5 weeks." Jennifer ran her hand through her hair. "I need you to find us a new venue by end of week, or we're going to have to cancel, and that will destroy our reputation." After Jennifer left, Sophia sat frozen for a full minute before her training kicked in. She opened her contacts and started making calls. Every major venue in Chicago was either booked or too small or wildly outside their budget. By 6 in the evening, she had exhausted every option she knew and was starting to panic. Meyer appeared at her office door with takeout. "I figured you'd forget to eat. How bad is it?" "Career ending bad." Sophia accepted the container of pad thai gratefully. "I can't find anywhere that works. We need space for 300 people, a full catering kitchen, proper acoustics for the live auction, and parking. Everything available is either a hotel ballroom that costs twice our budget or some sketchy warehouse space." "What about that new event space that opened in River North?" "The one in that restored factory building, booked solid for the next year. I already called." Sophia stabbed at her noodles. "I'm going to lose this job, Maya. This was supposed to be my moment to prove I could handle major events. You'll figure it out. You always do." But even Maya's optimism sounded forced. Sophia worked until midnight, calling venues as far as the suburbs, looking at every possible option. Nothing fit. She finally drove home to her apartment, exhausted and terrified. The next morning she woke to her phone ringing. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Is this Sophia Nash?" The voice was male, deep, professional. "Yes, who's calling?" "My name is Owen Jennings. I'm a real estate developer here in Chicago. I heard through a mutual contact that you're looking for an event venue on short notice." Sophia sat up straight, suddenly wide awake. "I am. Do you have something available?" "I might. I own a property on the lakefront that I've been renovating. It's not officially open yet, but it's functional. Would you be able to meet me there this morning to take a look? It sounded too good to be true, which immediately made Sophia suspicious. Can I ask who our mutual contact is? Jennifer Chen. She and I served on a nonprofit board together a few years ago. She reached out last night. Relief flooded through Sophia. Yes, absolutely. What's the address? 2 hours later, Sophia pulled up to a stunning building right on Lake Michigan. It was a restored limestone mansion, probably from the early 1900s, with huge windows overlooking the water. The architecture was breathtaking, all elegant lines and careful preservation. A man stood on the front steps, and Sophia felt her breath catch slightly as she approached. He was tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair that was just slightly too long to be corporate, wearing jeans and a black Henley that showed he clearly spent time in a gym. He looked to be in his early 30s, with strong features and striking blue eyes that tracked her approach with focused attention. Sophia Nash. He came down the steps with his hand extended. Owen Jennings. His handshake was firm and warm. Thank you so much for meeting me. This building is gorgeous. Wait until you see the inside. There was pride in his voice as he unlocked the heavy wooden door. I bought this place 3 years ago when it was practically condemned. It's been a labor of love getting it restored. The interior took Sophia's breath away. The main floor was one massive open space with soaring ceilings, original crown molding, and gleaming hardwood floors. Crystal chandeliers hung at intervals, and the wall of windows facing the lake let in spectacular natural light. A curved staircase led to what appeared to be a balcony level. The main floor is about 4,000 square feet, Owen said, watching her reaction. The balcony adds another 1,500. There's a commercial kitchen in the back that I had installed last month, 4 bathrooms and parking for about 70 cars in the lot around back, plus street parking. Sophia was already envisioning the space set up for the gala. It was absolutely perfect, almost too perfect. This is incredible, but I have to be honest, our budget is limited. We can't afford anything extravagant. Owen leaned against one of the marble columns, arms crossed. What's your budget? She told him, wincing as she said the number. It was reasonable for most venues, but for a space like this, it was laughably low. To her surprise, Owen just nodded. That works. I'm sorry, what? I said that works. Like I mentioned, the space isn't officially open yet. You'd actually be doing me a favor. I need to see how it functions for a large event before I start booking it regularly. Consider it a test run. Sophia stared at him, trying to read if this was some kind of joke. Are you serious? Completely. He pushed off the column and walked toward the windows. I believe in the cause too. Jennifer told me about the literacy program. My sister is a teacher in an underfunded school district. I know how important this kind of fundraising is. There had to be a catch. What's the catch? Owen turned back to her, and there was something almost amused in his expression. No catch, though I would like to attend the event if possible, see how everything works, and I'll need approval on any contractors you bring in just to make sure the space is treated properly. Of course. Absolutely. Sophia was already pulling out her phone to take pictures. Can I bring my boss by this afternoon to show her? I'll be here until about 3. Come by whenever. Jennifer was so relieved she nearly cried when she saw the space. She approved it immediately, shook Owen's hand about 15 times, and told Sophia this was exactly the kind of creative problem-solving that would earn her that promotion. Over the next 3 weeks, Sophia practically lived at the mansion. Owen was there most days too, working on final touches to the restoration or meeting with contractors. They fell into an easy rhythm of working in the same space, occasionally grabbing coffee together or discussing how the event setup was progressing. Sophia learned that Owen had made his fortune in real estate development. But unlike a lot of developers, he focused on restoration and preservation rather than tearing down old buildings for new construction. He was passionate about maintaining Chicago's architectural history while making spaces functional for modern use. He had that rare combination of business savvy and genuine idealism that Sophia found increasingly appealing. "Most people think I'm crazy," Owen told her one afternoon as they sat on the front steps eating sandwiches. "The money is in new builds, but I don't know, there's something about these old buildings. They have character, history. It feels wrong to just destroy that." "I don't think you're crazy," Sophia said. "I think it's admirable. This building is stunning because you preserved what made it special." Owen looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "Thanks. That means more than you know." It was during their third week of preparation that Derek showed up. Sophia was inside directing the rental company on where to place tables when she heard a familiar voice calling her name. She turned to see Derek walking through the open door, looking exactly as she remembered except with a new expensive haircut. "Sophia, I've been trying to reach you for weeks." Her stomach dropped, but she kept her face composed. "Derek, what are you doing here?" "Your mom told me you were working on a big event. I looked up Sterling Events and convinced the receptionist to tell me where you'd be." He smiled, that charming smile that used to make her melt. "We need to talk. I'm working." Sophia turned back to the rental manager, trying to dismiss Derek, but he followed her. "This is important, Soph. I made a mistake, a huge mistake, taking that job, leaving you all of it. I've been miserable in Seattle." "That's unfortunate." Sophia kept her voice level. "But I'm in the middle of coordinating an event for 300 people, so you're going to have to leave. Just give me 5 minutes, please." Derek reached for her arm but stopped when a voice cut across the room. "Is there a problem here?" Owen had appeared from somewhere, his presence suddenly filling the space. He wasn't threatening, but there was something protective in the way he positioned himself slightly between Sophia and Derek. Derek frowned. "Who are you, the owner of this building? And you're disrupting my tenants' work." "This is a private conversation," Derek said, his tone getting defensive. "Not when it's happening in my property during business hours." Owen's voice stayed calm but firm. "Sophia has clearly asked you to leave. I'm going to have to insist that you do." For a moment Sophia thought Derek might argue, but something in Owen's steady gaze made him reconsider. "Fine. But Sophia, I'm staying at the Marriott downtown through the weekend. Room 412. Please just think about talking to me." After Derek left, Sophia felt her hands shaking slightly. Owen touched her elbow gently. "You okay?" "Yeah, that was my ex. The one everyone warned me would come back, I gathered. Do you want to take a break?" "No." Sophia shook her head firmly. "I want to focus on work, but thank you for that. Anytime." Owen held her gaze for a moment longer than necessary before heading back to wherever he had been working. That night, Maya came over with wine. "So Derek actually showed up. Are you going to talk to him?" "I don't know." Sophia curled up on her couch with her glass. "Part of me wants closure. Part of me is terrified that if I talk to him, I'll fall back into old patterns." "What does your gut tell you?" "My gut is confused. But the weird thing is, when he showed up today, I didn't feel what I expected to feel. I thought I'd be angry or hurt or even tempted. Instead, I just felt annoyed that he was interrupting my work." Maya raised her eyebrows. "That's actually huge growth, Soph. Or maybe I'm just stressed about the event." But even as Sophia said it, she knew that wasn't the whole truth. Somewhere in the past 3 weeks, something had shifted. She had been so focused on the gala, so energized by pulling everything together, that she hadn't spent much time dwelling on Derek at all. And if she was being completely honest with herself, the person who had been occupying her thoughts more and more was Owen. The week of the gala arrived in a whirlwind. Final details needed confirming, the catering company had questions, the entertainment needed sound checks, and about 1,000 other small crises emerged. Through all of it, Owen was steady and helpful, handling building issues so Sophia could focus on the event itself. 2 days before the gala, Sophia was doing a final walkthrough when Owen found her on the balcony level, checking sight lines. "Everything looking good?" "I think so." "I'm just paranoid I'm forgetting something critical." She turned to him, suddenly feeling the exhaustion of the past few weeks. "I can't thank you enough for this space, Owen. You saved my career. You would have found something. You're resourceful." He leaned on the railing next to her, looking out over the main floor below. "But I'm glad it worked out. It's been nice having you here." There was something in his tone that made Sophia's heart skip. "It's been nice being here." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Owen said, "Derek hasn't come back." "No. He's texted a few times, but I haven't responded. I don't think there's anything left to say." "Good." Sophia glanced at him. "Good." Owen turned to face her fully. "Okay, I'm going to be direct because I'm terrible at subtle. These past few weeks, working with you, getting to know you, I've been consistently impressed by how smart and capable and creative you are. You're also beautiful and kind, and you make me laugh. And I really want to ask you to dinner after this event is over, but I didn't want to complicate things while you were dealing with your ex situation." Sophia felt warmth spread through her chest. "You think I'm beautiful? That's what you're focusing on?" Owen laughed. "Yes, obviously." "Have you seen yourself?" I didn't know you saw me that way. I thought we were just becoming friends." "We are friends. I'd like to be more than that, though, if you're interested." Owen's confidence seemed to waver slightly. "But if you're not, that's totally fine. I don't want to make things weird." Sophia found herself smiling, really smiling for the first time in weeks. "I'm interested, very interested, but you're right about timing. Let me get through this event, make sure I don't accidentally burn down your beautiful building with a catering fire or something. Deal." Owen's answering smile was genuine and warm. "But for the record, the building is insured." The night of the gala, everything came together beautifully. The space looked magical with uplighting in soft blues and golds, the chandeliers sparkling overhead, round tables dressed in crisp linens filling the main floor while the balcony level served as a lounge area. Guests began arriving at 6, and Sophia watched with satisfaction as they reacted to the stunning venue with audible gasps and compliments. The event ran smoothly. The catering was excellent, the live auction was spirited and raised significant funds, and the keynote speaker delivered a moving presentation about literacy programs in underfunded schools. Sophia spent most of the evening troubleshooting small issues and making sure everything stayed on schedule, but she was aware of Owen throughout the night, looking striking in a dark suit as he mingled with guests and answered questions about the building's history. She was checking on dessert service when Jennifer found her, practically glowing. "Sophia, this is perfect. Everything is absolutely perfect. I've had 3 guests ask for your card specifically. And the venue, my God, how did you find this place?" Owen Jennings. "He's been incredibly generous." "Well, he's also incredibly handsome, and he's been watching you all night." Jennifer grinned. "Just an observation." After the last guest left and the catering team finished cleanup, Sophia found herself alone in the main room with Owen. She had kicked off her heels and was standing by the windows, looking out at the lake in the darkness. "You did an amazing job tonight," Owen said, coming to stand beside her. "We did an amazing job. This space made everything possible." "So about that dinner," Owen said. "Are you free tomorrow night?" Sophia turned to him. In the dim light from the remaining chandeliers, he looked almost unfairly attractive. "I'm free, but I have to ask, why me? You own multiple buildings, you're clearly successful, you could date anyone." Owen moved closer, his expression serious. "Because you're driven and passionate about your work. Because you solved an impossible problem with creativity and determination. Because you light up when you talk about events you're planning. Because you're kind to everyone from the catering staff to the millionaire donors. Because when your ex showed up, you didn't fall apart or cause drama, you just handled it with grace." He paused. "Should I keep going?" "Yes," Sophia said breathlessly. "Because I think you're fascinating and I want to know everything about you. Your favorite food, what you studied in college, why you chose event planning, what makes you laugh, what your dreams are." Owen reached up and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Because I've been thinking about kissing you for 2 weeks and it's been driving me crazy." "Then why haven't you?" The words came out braver than Sophia felt. "Because I wanted to do this right. I didn't want to be a rebound or a distraction from your ex. I wanted to wait until you were ready." Sophia's heart was pounding. "I'm ready." Owen kissed her then, gentle at first and then deeper as she responded, his hand coming up to cup her face. It felt different from anything Sophia had experienced before. It felt like a beginning rather than a continuation of an old story. When they broke apart, both slightly breathless, Owen rested his forehead against hers. "So, dinner tomorrow. Definitely dinner tomorrow." Their first real date was at a small Italian restaurant Owen knew in Little Italy. They talked for 3 hours, barely noticing their food, sharing stories and learning each other's histories. Sophia learned that Owen had grown up in a working-class neighborhood, that his father had been a carpenter and taught him to appreciate craftsmanship. He had put himself through college working construction, then started buying and flipping properties before specializing in restoration. He was close to his family, had 2 sisters, and coached youth basketball on weekends. Sophia shared her own story, growing up in the suburbs with parents who worked in corporate America and expected her to do the same. She had initially gone to school for business, but discovered event planning through volunteering for campus activities. The career had been a disappointment to her parents at first until she started succeeding. Derek had been her college boyfriend, the safe choice, the one everyone approved of, until he proved to be not so safe after all. "I spent so long trying to fit into other people's expectations," Sophia admitted. "Choosing a practical major, dating the right kind of guy, working toward a traditional definition of success. It took Derek leaving to realize I was allowed to want what I actually wanted." "And what do you want?" Owen asked. "To be really good at what I do, to create experiences that matter for people, to find someone who sees me as a partner, not an accessory to their life plan." She met his eyes. "To take risks on things that scare me." Owen reached across the table and took her hand. "I like all of those things." They started seeing each other regularly. Owen would stop by Sophia's office with coffee. She would meet him at construction sites to grab lunch. They would have dinner at small restaurants and talk until closing time. It was easy and natural in a way Sophia's relationship with Derek never had been. Owen asked her opinion on his projects. She ran ideas for events past him. They challenged and supported each other. 3 weeks into dating, Derek texted again. "I'm back in Chicago for work. Can we please talk? I miss you." Sophia showed the message to Owen. They were at his loft apartment, which took up the top floor of one of his restored buildings, cooking dinner together. "You want to talk to him?" Owen asked, his voice carefully neutral. "No. I think I need to tell him clearly that it's over, that I've moved on. Would you mind if I called him now to do that?" "Not at all. Want privacy?" "No, stay." Sophia appreciated that Owen trusted her enough not to be threatened. She called Derek on speaker. He answered immediately, sounding eager. "Sophia, thank you for calling. Derek, I need you to stop contacting me. We're done, we've been done, and I'm seeing someone else now." There was silence. "Then you're seeing someone already. It's been 6 months since we broke up, but yes." "Who is it? That guy from the event space?" "I looked him up, Sophia. He's wealthy." "Are you sure he's not just playing games?" Sophia felt anger flash through her. "Don't do that. Don't try to undermine this because you're jealous. Owen has been nothing but respectful and genuine. Unlike you, he actually considers my career and my life important. That's not fair. I made a mistake, I'm trying to fix it. By leaving for 6 months and only coming back because you're unhappy. That's not trying to fix things, Derek, that's being selfish. I'm happy now. I'm building something real with someone who sees me as an equal. Please respect that and move on." She hung up before he could respond. Owen wrapped his arms around her from behind, kissing her temple. "I'm proud of you, that took guts. I should have done it weeks ago. I just kept avoiding it. You did it when you were ready. That's what matters." Over the next few months, Sophia's career continued to flourish. The success of the gala led to more high-profile clients, and Jennifer promoted her to senior event coordinator with a significant raise. She started taking on bigger, more complex events, and her confidence grew with each success. Owen's restoration business expanded as well. He acquired 2 more historic properties and hired additional staff. He was featured in a Chicago architecture magazine, and Sophia attended the release party with him, proud to be by his side. They met each other's families. Owen's parents immediately embraced Sophia, welcoming her to loud family dinners and teasing Owen about being smitten. Sophia's parents were more reserved at first, especially her father, who seemed suspicious of Owen's wealth and intentions. "He's a real estate developer," her father had said skeptically. "Those guys are usually sharks." But Owen won them over by showing genuine interest in their lives, asking thoughtful questions, and being clear about how much he respected Sophia's career and independence. By the end of the dinner, her mother was showing him photo albums from Sophia's childhood, and her father was discussing renovation projects. 6 months into their relationship, Owen asked Sophia to move into his loft. She said yes, without hesitation. Living together was an easy transition because they had already fallen into comfortable patterns. They both worked long hours but made time for each other, cooking together, working out together, sharing their days. It was during a weekend trip to a small coastal town in Michigan that Sophia realized she was completely in love. They had rented a cottage overlooking Lake Michigan, and it was unseasonably warm for October. They spent the afternoon walking on the beach, collecting smooth stones and talking about everything and nothing. As sunset painted the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, Owen pulled her close. "I love you, Sophia. I've been wanting to say that for weeks, but I was waiting for the right moment." "I love you too," Sophia said, and she meant it with every part of herself. "I didn't know it could feel like this." "Like what?" "Easy. Right. Like we're building something together instead of one person following the other." Owen kissed her as the sun sank into the lake. "We are building something together, and I want to keep building it for a very long time." A year after they met, Owen proposed. He didn't do it with a big public gesture or an elaborate setup. Instead, he proposed on a quiet Tuesday evening in their loft. They had just finished dinner and were sitting on the couch, Sophia's feet in Owen's lap as they watched the city lights. "I have something for you," Owen said, suddenly nervous in a way Sophia rarely saw him. He pulled out a small box and Sophia's breath caught. Inside was a stunning vintage ring, an emerald-cut diamond set in platinum with delicate filigree on the band. "It's from the 1920s, Owen said. "I found it at an estate sale. It reminded me of us, something old and beautiful that deserves to be preserved and cherished." He took the ring out of the box. "Sophia, you've changed my life in ways I didn't know were possible. You're my partner, my best friend, the person I want to share every success and every challenge with. Will you marry me?" "Yes," Sophia said, tears streaming down her face. "Absolutely yes." The ring fit perfectly. They stayed up late that night talking about their future, about the wedding they wanted to have, about their dreams and plans. Sophia had never felt more certain of anything. They were married 9 months later in the lakefront mansion where they had met. Sophia coordinated her own wedding, which drove Maya crazy. "You're supposed to be the bride, not the event planner." But Sophia couldn't help herself. She wanted every detail perfect, and it was. The ceremony was intimate, just close family and friends, with the reception opening up to a larger guest list. The space was decorated simply but elegantly, with thousands of candles and white flowers. Sophia wore a flowing silk gown that Owen couldn't stop staring at, and Owen wore a classic tuxedo that made him look like an old Hollywood star. When they exchanged vows, Sophia found herself thinking about all the warnings she had received about Derek coming back. Everyone had been so certain she would fall back into that old relationship, but they had been wrong. She hadn't needed to guard herself against Derek. She had needed to be open to the possibility of something completely new. "I promise to be your partner in all things," Owen said, holding both her hands as he faced her under an arch of white roses. "To support your dreams as fiercely as you support mine. To choose you every single day. To build a life with you that we both love." "I promise to meet you as an equal," Sophia responded, her voice strong despite her tears. "To create adventures with you. To communicate honestly even when it's hard. To love you with everything I have." When the officiant pronounced them married, Owen kissed her deeply while their guests cheered. It felt like the beginning of something extraordinary. They honeymooned in Italy, exploring Rome and Florence and the Tuscan countryside. Owen loved the ancient architecture, and Sophia loved watching him examine old buildings with the enthusiasm of a kid in a candy store. They ate incredible food, drank excellent wine, and spent hours just talking and being together. Back in Chicago, they settled into married life. Both their careers continued to thrive. Sophia eventually started her own boutique event planning company, specializing in high-end charitable fundraisers. Owen expanded his restoration business to other cities, creating a network of preserved historic properties across the Midwest. 2 years after their wedding, Sophia discovered she was pregnant. She told Owen over breakfast on a Sunday morning, sliding the positive test across the table while he read the newspaper. He stared at it for a solid minute before looking up at her with wonder in his eyes. "We're having a baby. We're having a baby." Owen came around the table and pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could feel his heart racing. "I'm going to be a dad. You're going to be a mom. We're going to be parents." "Are you happy?" Sophia asked, even though she could feel that he was. "I'm beyond happy. I'm terrified and excited and overwhelmed and so incredibly grateful." Their daughter, Emma Rose, was born on a snowy December evening. She had Owen's dark hair and Sophia's green eyes, and from the moment the nurse placed her in Sophia's arms, she knew what complete love felt like. Owen cried when he held Emma for the first time, this strong, capable man reduced to tears by the tiny person they had created together. Parenthood was exhausting and challenging and wonderful. They took turns with night feedings, figured out work-life balance through trial and error, and marveled at every milestone. Owen was a devoted father, patient and playful and protective. Sophia discovered depths of strength and capability she hadn't known she possessed. When Emma was 2, they had a son they named Lucas. Their family felt complete. The loft became chaotic with toys and children's laughter. Owen converted one of his buildings into a family-friendly space with a rooftop playground and community room, partially inspired by wanting Emma and Lucas to grow up around diverse experiences. Sophia ran her event company from a home office, carefully selecting projects that allowed her flexibility while still challenging her creatively. She specialized in galas and fundraisers that made real differences, raising millions for causes she believed in. Owen continued his restoration work, teaching Emma and Lucas about architecture and history, taking them to construction sites in tiny hard hats. 5 years after they married, Sophia ran into Derek at a conference. She almost didn't recognize him. He had aged in a way that suggested stress and hard living, and when he approached her, there was none of the cockiness she remembered. "Sophia, it's good to see you." "Derek, how are you?" She kept her voice polite but distant. "I'm okay. Heard you got married, had kids. That you're running your own company now." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Seems like everything worked out for you." "It did. I'm very happy." "I'm glad. I mean that. I'm sorry for how things ended between us, for how I behaved afterward. You deserved better." Sophia studied him and realized she felt no anger, no lingering hurt, just a distant sense of gratitude that things had unfolded as they did. "Thank you for saying that. I hope you're doing well, Derek. I really do." They parted amicably, and Sophia felt a sense of closure she hadn't known she needed. That evening, she told Owen about the encounter as they put the kids to bed. "How did it feel seeing him?" Owen asked, pulling her close as they settled onto the couch with glasses of wine. "Like looking at someone from a different lifetime. I barely recognized the person I was when I was with him." Sophia rested her head on Owen's shoulder. "Everyone warned me he would come back, that I needed to be careful, but the truth is, him coming back was never the real story. You were the real story. This life we built together, that was what I was supposed to be paying attention to." Owen kissed the top of her head. "I'm glad you were open to the possibility. When I met you that first day, I thought you were impressive and beautiful and way out of my league." "Out of your league? You owned a mansion on the lakefront. Money doesn't mean anything when it comes to actual connection. I knew that you could have anyone. I just hoped you might choose me." "I would choose you every time," Sophia said. "In every version of reality, in every possible scenario, I would always choose you." They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the sounds of their children sleeping in the next room, the city humming outside their windows. Sophia thought about all the decisions that had led her to this moment. Choosing to stay in Chicago when Derek left, focusing on her career, taking the risk on an unknown venue for a crucial event, being brave enough to let herself fall in love again. Everyone had warned her that her ex would come back, had told her to be careful, to guard her heart. But what they hadn't told her was that sometimes the ending of one story creates space for a better one to begin. That sometimes the person you're meant to be with is waiting in an unexpected place, ready to build something extraordinary together. Owen squeezed her hand. "What are you thinking about? How lucky I am. How grateful I am that the venue fell through, that Jennifer knew you, that you took a chance on me." "I didn't take a chance on you. I saw exactly who you were from the beginning and knew I wanted to be part of your life however you would have me." Owen turned to face her fully. "You're the best decision I ever made, Sophia. You and our kids, this life we have, it's more than I ever dreamed was possible." "Same," Sophia whispered, kissing him softly. Years continued to pass in a beautiful rhythm. Emma started kindergarten. Then Lucas followed. Sophia's company grew, earning recognition as one of Chicago's premier boutique event firms. Owen's restoration projects became more ambitious, including a historic theater district revitalization that won National Preservation Awards. They bought a house in a good neighborhood, something with a yard and space for the kids to run. But they kept the loft as an office and occasional retreat. The lakefront mansion where they met remained special to them, and they renewed their vows there on their 10th anniversary, surrounded by family and friends, with Emma and Lucas serving as attendants. Sophia's parents, who had initially been skeptical of Owen, became his biggest champions. Her father and Owen spent hours discussing home improvement projects, and her mother constantly praised Sophia for finding such a good man. Maya remained Sophia's best friend and became godmother to Emma, frequently joking that she had known from the first time she saw Owen and Sophia together that they were meant to be. One evening, when Emma was 10 and Lucas was 8, the family was having dinner together. Emma was telling them about a school project on family histories. "I told my class that Mom and Dad met because of a work emergency," Emma said. "My teacher thought it was romantic." "It was romantic," Owen said, grinning at Sophia. "Your mom was brilliant and solved an impossible problem, and I was immediately smitten." "What's smitten?" Lucas asked. "It means I fell in love with your mom right away." "That's gross," Lucas declared, but he was smiling. After dinner, after the kids were in bed, Sophia and Owen stood together in their bedroom getting ready for sleep. Sophia caught Owen's eye in the mirror. "You remember what I told you the night you proposed?" she asked. "About how I didn't know love could feel so easy and right." "I remember everything about that night. I still feel that way. Even with the chaos of kids and careers and life, even when things are hard, it still feels fundamentally right. Being with you is still the easiest choice I make." Owen came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and meeting her eyes in the reflection. 15 years ago, you walked into my building looking for a miracle. You had no idea that you were exactly what I had been looking for too." "Everyone warned me about the wrong thing," Sophia said softly. "They warned me my ex would come back. They didn't warn me that I would meet someone who would change my entire understanding of what love could be." "I'm grateful they were focused on the wrong warning," Owen said. "Otherwise you might have been too guarded to let me in." "Never. You were impossible to guard against. You were too genuine, too kind, too perfect for me to resist." They stood together, reflected in the mirror, the house quiet around them, their children sleeping safely down the hall. Sophia thought about the journey that had brought her here, from that panicked phone call about a lost venue to this moment of complete contentment. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. "Got a massive event proposal. Need someone with your expertise. Dinner next week to discuss." Sophia smiled. Even after all these years, she still loved the thrill of a new challenge, the satisfaction of creating something meaningful. She texted back a yes. "Work?" Owen asked. "New project possibility. Want to hear about it? Always." They moved to the bed, settling in as Sophia described what little she knew about the potential event. Owen listened, asked questions, offered ideas. This was their rhythm, the partnership they had built, supporting each other, challenging each other, growing together. When they finally turned off the lights, Owen pulled Sophia close, her back against his chest, his arm around her waist. "I love you," he said into the darkness. "I love you too," Sophia replied. "Thank you for being patient enough to wait for me to be ready. You were worth the wait. You're worth everything." Sophia drifted off to sleep feeling profoundly grateful. Everyone had warned her that her ex would come back, that she needed to prepare herself for that confrontation. They had been right that Derek would return, but they had been wrong about what it would mean. because Derek's return hadn't been the important part of the story. It had been nothing more than a footnote, a brief interruption in the real narrative of her life. The real story had been Owen, standing in the sunshine on the steps of his mansion, offering her a solution she hadn't dared to hope for. The real story had been falling in love with someone who saw her as an equal, who supported her ambitions, who wanted to build a life together rather than expecting her to fit into his. The real story had been learning that sometimes the best thing that can happen is for the past to stay in the past, leaving you free to embrace an unexpected future. The real story had been discovering that love, when it was right, felt less like a dramatic rescue and more like coming home. And as Sophia fell asleep in Owen's arms, in the house they had chosen together, with their children sleeping down the hall and a lifetime of shared moments behind and ahead of them, she knew without question that this was exactly where she was meant to be. The warnings had been irrelevant. Derek coming back had changed nothing, because by the time he returned, Sophia had already found something infinitely better. She had found a partner who celebrated her strength rather than feeling threatened by it, who encouraged her dreams rather than expecting her to sacrifice them, who loved her not despite her independence but because of it. She had found Owen, and in finding him, she had found the life she was always meant to live. The morning sun would rise tomorrow, and there would be new challenges to face, new events to plan, new moments to share. Emma would need help with her homework, Lucas would have soccer practice, Owen would have a site meeting, and Sophia would have client calls. Their life was busy and chaotic and wonderfully ordinary in all the ways that mattered. But underlying it all was the foundation they had built together. Love that was genuine and lasting, partnership that was equal and supportive, a family created with intention and care. Everyone had warned her that her ex would come back. What they should have told her was to stay open to the possibility that something better was waiting. That sometimes the story you think you're living is just the prologue to the real adventure. That the ending of something painful can be the beginning of something beautiful. Sophia had learned that lesson thoroughly. And as she settled into sleep, warm and safe and loved, she knew that every choice, every risk, every moment of vulnerability had been worth it to arrive here. This was her happily ever after, not because it was perfect, but because it was real. And that made all the difference.